Happy holidays, Telly lovers! Well, the end of the year is upon us, and in my last video, I covered the best TV series we said goodbye to in 2022. Today, I want to share with you my top picks for British TV series we said hello to this year. So put on the kettle because there's something for everyone in this video. Since these are in no particular order, I'm going to start with the most widely anticipated one of the bunch, House of the Dragon, also known in my head as... Anyway, for those who have been very out of the loop, House of the Dragon is the prequel to Game of Thrones and takes place some 200 years before. It's principally focused on, you guessed it, the Targaryens and a host of other frenemy houses, as always with the goal of being in power and sitting on the Iron Throne. And we're all aware that the last season of Game of Thrones caused quite a stir with a lot of mixed feelings, but how amazing was it to see the world of Westeros once again on the screen? The sets, the costumes, the score, the opening credits, it brought back all of the feels that Game of Thrones gave us. Even the pervy bits. And there's a lot to love in the sequel. It may be the same fight over who will lead Westeros, but this season there are some wonderfully strong female leads. There's more minority representation, lots of dragon action, and Easter eggs that connect the show to the houses and characters we saw in Game of Thrones. While I didn't fall quite as hard for the characters or even the houses as much as I did in Game of Thrones, it was still thrilling to be plunged back into all of the intrigue and magic once again this year. And I can't wait for it to continue, although recently it was reported that we aren't likely to see the Targaryens back on screen until 2024. Magpie Murders gave us the on-screen adaptation of the book of the same name by best-selling author and screenwriter Anthony Horowitz. It's the story of Susan Ryland, a present-day book editor who decides to investigate the suspicious death of her star writer, Alan Conway. In so doing, she uncovers the links between Alan's death in the present day and his last book, which is set in 1955. Now, it's always hard to compare books with their on-screen adaptations, but aside from a couple of slow scenes, this one was a winner. The book is one of my favorite recent cozy murder mysteries, so I was really pleased to see it translated to the TV screen. The series did a great job of portraying the book within a book or mystery within a mystery approach of the book. Going between the two time periods that each mystery is set in was seamless and easy to follow, especially thanks to the use of the same actors, which is also true to the book. Leslie Manville and Conleth Hill are really great as the lead characters, Susan and Alan. The rest of the cast is top-notch, and I really like the choice of Michael Maloney as Charles, Daniel Mays as the detective, and Matthew Beard as James. The super quaint sets and scenery are also perfectly chosen to depict the tidy towns the mysteries take place in. There's talk of a second season coming in the next couple of years, this time to portray the sequel of the two-book series, The Moonflower Murders. Manville is said to be very busy with the final season of The Crown currently, so here's to hoping the next series will come to our screens sooner rather than later. Well, talk about contrast. Inside Man was a quirky, somewhat ridiculous story about a death row inmate in the United States who has a gift for solving riddles and mysteries, and an English vicar who finds himself in a precarious situation caused by a misunderstanding. I'm not going to lie, this series is not going to be everyone's cup of tea. There are some playful and funny bits and some moments of suspense, but overall the storyline is a little much at times. However, when you have actors like David Tennant, it makes for more interesting watching. I've said before that British actors are like 90% of why I love British television, and this show is a perfect example of that. And having said that, there haven't been any announcements made yet about a season 2 for Inside Man. It made for an interesting watch this year, and that's plenty for me. Heartstopper is a coming-of-age sitcom about Charlie, a schoolboy who falls in love with his classmate Nick, who happens also to look a lot like a grown-up Prince George. The story is based on a series of graphic novels by writer Alice Oseman. It's a really sweet portrayal of teenage love in the context of sexual orientation and LGBT identity. The innocence, the excitement, the curiosity, they're all captured so well here. Understandably, the story brings up deeper questions about identity, coming out, and reconciling our private and public selves. There are also references to bullying and the pressure of nonconformity. But overwhelmingly, the series has a lightness about it that will remind any viewer about their first love. The doe eyes, the blushing, and yeah, even those palpitations, you're sure to feel them all over again. The series is a triumph for more visibility of the LGBT community in British television, and it's a huge step forward into the mainstream. I really appreciated this, along with the intersectionality of racial and ethnic diversity with other characters shown. And some more good news about this bingeable series is that it was renewed for another 2 seasons, with production already underway, so hopefully we'll get the next installment sometime next year. Anatomy of a Scandal is an American show based on the novel of the same name by British writer Sarah Vaughan, and all the actors in it are British, so I'm going to go ahead and count it here as British. But basically, it's the story of a minister of parliament who's embroiled in a scandal after his mistress accuses him of rape, and the fallout of this ordeal on his marriage. The series does a nice job of peeling back the layers from this perfectly posh and classy couple to reveal a host of dark secrets. It is a little on the long side, but it raises some interesting questions about consent and patterns in the way we behave and treat others. And the cast is all stars, so of course there's that. So far, there hasn't been a season 2 planned, which is okay since the story is pretty well wrapped up by the end of this season. But there has been some chatter that the producers may do a new standalone story if they were to undertake another season. The Devil's Hour premiered this past fall. It's a sci-fi mystery series that centers around the story of Lucy and her son Isaac, who are struggling to make sense of strange experiences they have. If you haven't seen it yet, check out my in-depth review, which also discusses the ending. But for our purposes here, I'm going to say that this was a welcome addition to my streaming lineup this year. If you're familiar with American TV, it may remind you of shows like Fringe. And I like how unexpected this is when you consider most British TV is crime or drama. And some good news, The Devil's Hour has been reviewed for a second and possibly even a third season. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the next set of timelines for these characters next year. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my roundup of the best new series to grace our smart TVs over the past year. Overall, it was a pretty good year for British TV, and I'm excited for all the new goodies to come in the coming year. So keep your eyes peeled for my upcoming video on series to look for in 2023, or better yet, subscribe to Tea and Telly so you'll be sure to catch it, and so much more to come your way in the new year. And while you're here, check out my other videos, drop me a line, let me know how I'm doing on this new channel. Let me know what were your favorite new shows to premiere in 2022. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Thanks a million for watching, Happy New Year, and ta for now.